Okay, and we are live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Agency Mastery Series. Just want to do a quick check-in and make sure everyone tuning in can hear us and see us okay. If you want, you can be the first to pop into chat. Thank you, Ricky. You win the prize of being the fastest typer. All right. Cool. Wow, he just flooded us with the responses. We have a attentive and engaged audience today. That is amazing. Ricky, you get street cred. Hashtag street cred. That's the best we can do. Maybe we can send you a shirt. I'll check with Kurt on that one. All right. So hello, everyone. Welcome again. I'm Chris. I run content marketing here for Cloud Campaign.
And I'm Maya, and I do our social media management.
And I'm Nick.
And also, also joining us. Yeah, go ahead, Nick, please.
Yeah, no, I'm on the customer support and customer success side in Portland.
And if you have ever reached out to our customer success team, support team, you might have actually, yes, I was going to say you've probably spoken with Nick at some point. And Nick is on hand to help us answer any extra technical questions you might throw at us today, because we're doing something a little bit different this month. Normally we have like an agency owner on or some kind of outside expert to talk about strategies, lessons learned, things like that. But with all the changes to Instagram and just video content dominating people's feeds now, we wanted to do something a little bit different this month. And we've had some features to help with Instagram Reels that we wanted to dive into. So today we're going to talk about those important changes that have affected Instagram Reels that you need to be aware of. We're going to briefly cover the guidelines for posting best practices and some ways to get inspired for you to create content, video content. Then we're going to get technical with creating, uploading, and scheduling content specifically in Cloud Campaign. All right, so if you're already using the platform, awesome. We hope that you do take something away from this in terms of developing efficient workflows. If you're not using Cloud Campaign, don't worry. So a lot of what we're going to be covering does apply to you regardless. But when we do get into the platform, you will have a chance to see just like how easy it is to streamline and schedule video content. So, y'all ready to get into it? I saw a comment in the chat that someone might be having some streaming issues. Just want to do a quick check-in to make sure that we're coming in clear. Cool. All right. Sorry if you're having some streaming issues, Shane. Put out some good internet vibes for you. Think Wi-Fi, everyone. Think strong Wi-Fi. All right, so where to begin? Let's cover first some of the major changes that have affected Instagram Reels and the posting parameters. Nick, actually, do you want to field this one real quick? Do you want to kind of share just some of those major changes that impact Reels specifically?
Yeah, for just like posting guidelines and things like that. Yeah, definitely. So the biggest change I would say is definitely the sizing of your videos, right? I know we used to always push that 1920 by 1080 format for Instagram, kind of the condensed rectangle. Obviously that's changed now. So now it's kind of flipped. So you're going to see a lot more vertical videos. We'll obviously allow those to be pushed out, but definitely focus a lot more on those vertical videos. Those are what you're going to see in Reels and in the main feed more often now. I know when I look at Instagram every morning, I see all those vertical videos. And then those kind of smaller rectangular ones are definitely the ones that stick out as, not as formatted for Instagram, if you will. As far as everything else goes, MP4 files definitely are the way to go for posting through a third-party platform. Other than that, I think keep everything else the same, Chris, unless you had anything else. But definitely the resolution of your videos is going to change. It's going to be exactly flipped from what we used to promote.
Perfect. Thank you for sharing that. The other major change too that I wanted to make note of, and this impacts, especially if you're working within Cloud Campaign, is that all new video content will automatically be posted as Reels. So that's a pretty significant change that could affect just, how things, depending on how you use video in Instagram Reels, that can affect how things are going to appear on your feed and where it'll appear on people's feeds from your audience. And when we get into David, we'll show you the resolutions too real quick. Let me just start sharing my screen for you. when we actually get into the platform and talk about the, can y'all see this? This is a slide that Maya put together for us. These are some of the sizings for the aspect ratios. Nick, does this align with what you just told us?
Yeah, that is absolutely perfect.
Great.
Yeah.
Nailed it. And then we're also going to talk a little bit later, sort of about the thumbnail aspect. We're going to be covering this stuff in our workflow portion because you're dealing with vertical video content now. And while your video in portrait mode should be 1920 by 1080, it's interesting when you have these thumbnails, they actually take the video and kind of crop it in at about 4 to 5 ratio. So there's some weird things to consider as you're creating your content, because if you aren't laying out your templates correctly, as Nick mentioned, when people are scrolling through your feed, it doesn't look professional, it doesn't look clean. So we're going to cover some of that stuff, and we'll include this 2-slide deck for you in the recorded version when we send this out later. All right, so I'm going to go back and stop sharing my screen for now. And also, if you aren't getting Nick's audio, just remember we'll send out a recorded version of this, so you'll be able to hear all of his nuggets of wisdom. And then the last thing I'll mention in terms of like those Reels changes, and as I mentioned, as we get into Cloud Campaign, there is a toggle that you can use to either force things to go into Reels or not. All right.
Yeah, so we kind of wanted to move on and talk about some best practices when it comes to, creating kind of video content, reel content. Obviously, everybody has their own systems and ways they go about things, but I was just going to talk from my experience of being a social media manager here at Cloud Campaign and kind of how the system plays with that. So some main practices that I have picked up, and I'm sure maybe you guys have heard these before, but taking time to look through the audios and really be on the platform. So knowing what's trending, the audios, and then making sure I'm saving those and applying them later on. So a lot of the times I'll pick a certain day, if I'm not really feeling my best, I want to put on makeup that day, I'll just research trends instead of filming videos that day, and I will just compile a list of videos I want to do or trends I want to use, or audios or effects. It can be anything that sparks my attention and my inspiration. So, and I put those usually into folders. So if I'm using the actual Instagram app and I'm actually scrolling on the Reels tab, I'll click the save button and then I'll store it in a certain folder. And you can even save the certain folders as certain things. So I could be audios that inspire me, effects that inspire me, trends, or making later on, or could be evergreen, so you can make all those different folders within Instagram and then save the things that inspire you and put them in there. So that's some things I've done on Instagram. Obviously TikTok's kind of different, but they still have their saving and tabs, so you can use that similarly. So that's definitely something I've been using that I think has been really helpful, to make sure that on days I'm ready to batch content, or that I've put on makeup and I'm feeling good enough to film that day, that I'm ready to go with things I already want to do. I'm not spending the whole day finding trends, finding audios, and then setting up a tripod and then making the video. So I think it's really efficient for me to look through the trends and look through my app to find the things that I want to be making, and then take time another day to make that kind of stuff.
So there was a question that popped into chat, and I think it's an interesting nuance and some of these technical things that we have to work through when we're managing accounts. From my understanding, if you're using Instagram personally, you have a lot more access to some of that trending audio. From a business account perspective, does that change at all? Are you more limited in what you can find, or how do you
that's definitely been something that we've kind of been trying to navigate recently, because it is hard when you are limited, because I'm sure it's about copyright issues and they don't want you to use it if you're promoting products. So you do have to kind of figure that out. I know I had posted a video on TikTok using the Friends sound track or whatever, their main intro sound, and I couldn't find it necessarily not open for business use on Reels, but I posted it just with the sound that was still on the video from TikTok. And it somehow still connected, even though it wouldn't let me add the audio directly. It connected itself. So that was an interesting thing that I hadn't seen before. So you can try that and see if that happens for you. It only happened that one time for me. But if you can't find it exactly, maybe you can find a different sound, or if you're knowing specifically you want to make like a certain trend on Reels or something, and it's just not possible. Maybe you can make your own sound, or maybe you can upload it from, like, get the sound off some other website and then upload it that way, or, you know, look into alternative ways to do it. But at the end of the day, if we're not able to use that sound, we're just not able to use it. We got to be a little creative with it.
It's like almost like the streaming conundrum. It's like, oh, I want to watch this, but it's on Hulu and I don't have Hulu, so I have to find it on. Yeah. Another way, I don't know if it necessarily circumvents this, because it doesn't get, if it's trending audio, it's usually copyright. That's like why it's used. It's popular music. But one of the things that I do is, like, I do have a stock music library that I pull from, or copyright free music. Sometimes it's not, it just doesn't hit the mark as like the Friends intro, but that can be a way to sort of get around it, and you build your own library based on that.
And a lot of the times too, like if you're like, you saw a trend on TikTok, but you kind of want to like do it on Reels, or you think it performed well and you're not seeing the sound, that I've been seeing a lot of stuff recently about, you know, put the sound on there yourself, like, you know, read the name, the audio, you know, maybe make it on TikTok and then save it and then rename the audio with something. And that could be a good way to try to go trending or viral, because obviously people are liking the sound on TikTok. They'd like it probably on Reels as well. So and I see you guys are putting like other ways that you guys kind of get around this, which I think is awesome. Like, I've heard of Splice before, but I haven't really used it recently, so I should check it out again. And that's like really great for you guys to put in those recommendations, because, you know, I'm learning too. So I think it's great that you guys are doing that.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing that resource, Kaylee. Shane asked, and Adam is interested in hearing a question to this answer. If audio gets stricken due to copyright, do you recommend taking it down? Yes. It's breaking the rules. It's affecting your content. People are going to try and engage with this content. It's going to be silent. It might even, I can't remember if it actually says it has a copyright issue from like the viewer consumer perspective, but then just ask, like, is that the experience that I want to present for the brands that I manage?
You also want to be careful to not get like shadow banned and stuff too. Like,
yeah, that's exactly what I was going to mention. Thanks, Maya, because I know I've seen recently an increase in Meta's ability to shadow ban or suspend accounts, and that's caused issues with posting to or being able to link all of your Instagram accounts, because as we all know, everything's managed through those personal Facebook accounts. So if they recognize one of your accounts has an issue, they're going to limit you on all the other ones. So definitely, if you can manage that in any way and remove it, definitely do that.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks for jumping in. One last question before we kind of move on to content creation, inspiration, styles, and campaigns. The thumbnail for the video when you're uploading, Nick, did you have any clarification there?
Yeah. So the only way that we can upload thumbnails currently is, or you can't upload them. You can select them from a specific time frame of the video. And you'll notice when you initially upload the video, you'll see a second window of it pop up below the video that you're uploading. If you drag the time to whatever, you know, designated like frame that you want to have for the thumbnail, it'll populate in the second window at the bottom as well. All you'll want to do is just click the thumbnail logo, and that'll save it for you. And then once you save the content, you'll notice that it saves that thumbnail as well.
Nick, I'm so glad we brought you on today. All right. Hopefully that answered your question, Jennifer. Let's move on. And if not, you just let us know. Maya, can you talk a little bit, just sort of getting inspired to create content? How do you stay up on trends? Styles,
I mean, I feel like that's a lot of what a social media manager's job is like staying in the know with everything. And I feel like it is kind of hard sometimes too, like pulling trends apart from like personal trends, like when I'm just scrolling at home on what I'm looking at, versus like business trends and B2B trends that I'm trying to keep up with. So I think like, you know, looking on your two different accounts is a good way to kind of get a mix of that. You kind of can pull what you think would be good from personal trends to like more of a business side of that. So if you're looking on your own account versus looking at your business account, that's kind of a good way if you want to see kind of different stuff to keep in mind. But yeah, like to get inspired, I honestly am just scrolling. Like that's, I feel like the best way to do it. If you're trying to go viral or trying to make more content for Instagram Reels, you're going to want to be on Instagram Reels to see what people are doing. If you're like seeing the same thing over and over again, you're not getting inspired, like maybe you can go to a different platform like TikTok or Facebook, or just to kind of see what other people are doing other places. But at the end of the day, I feel like if you're trying to make something for a certain platform, you got to be on that platform. So that's usually what I'm doing. I'm looking on there, seeing what other people are up to. But like the things that stick out to you should be those sounds that you see potential with, but that have a low amount of views or videos already made with them. So you can do that just by clicking into the sound and just seeing how many videos there are. So yeah, you kind of want something with like a couple thousand videos in it, so it's enough traction to push yours out, but that you're like going to be one of the first to really optimize that sound or that effect or whatever it is. So
awesome. Do you have a strat, like when you're looking at posts, so and maybe we can pull up an example to kind of walk through, like what are you looking for? How are you kind of like taking a post and breaking it down to pull inspiration?
Yeah,
from
I mean, there's a lot of different things. A lot of the time it's just what kind of sparks my creativity. If I see, an opportunity to optimize that for, say, Cloud Campaign's page, or, make it more B2B or relatable. So that's sound or like emotion that people are doing in the video or something, like just ways I can think about how I can take that and use it to my advantage. So I know in the past I've done things where, it's like there's that sound that was like, oh, like I'm drained today, like today drained me. And it's like, okay, well, what do like the people that we're selling to get drained by? Like, what do they do that drains them? And then I kind of go into that sound and I look and kind of see what other people are posting, because I am trying to be original too. I don't want to exactly copy other people. So sometimes looking in there and seeing like, oh, like this B2B marketer said that this drains them, like, oh, that kind of inspires me something similar that would more to my niche market. And then I kind of change it that way. Or like sometimes I just have a really good idea. I'm like, wow, I don't even need to like see if there's somebody else that has an idea that can spark mine. Like if I just have one, I go and look and see if it's like the most popular one. And it's like, okay, it's not cool, I'm going to make mine and like see if it does well. So sometimes it just comes to you, and sometimes you need to do a little bit more digging to kind of like develop the idea. But that's just kind of how like the creative process goes, or at least for me.
And what type of content should be in your Reels feed? I mean, I feel like what you would post to LinkedIn might not be the same same thing you'd post to Reels. So like, is there like a kind of like a style or like general like content theme?
Yeah, I mean, that just kind of depends on your market and what you're going for, what kind of audience you're trying to hit. Because like, yeah, your audience on LinkedIn or YouTube is going to be different than your audience on Instagram or TikTok, or maybe they're the same, but you have to like kind of know your audience and know what they're kind of looking for. And so to kind of figure that out, it does take like some testing. So, you can post all different kinds of content. You could do like entertainment versus education. So you can kind of like post different things and see kind of what is resonating and what's doing well. And then after you kind of figured out your audience a bit more, then you can kind of have more like insight into what you should be creating for what platform. So if like your audience really loves educational content, when you're scrolling on Reels, doing your research, and you're finding a really good sound that you think like, oh, this could be great, I could use it to give them this new tidbit of information that, Instagram released the other day about their algorithm or whatever. So, you're just kind of thinking about your audience and keeping them in mind when you're looking through those trends as well.
I like that. There's actually kind of putting some of the things that you just mentioned together, like building a library of assets you can use and return to, and then kind of like looking for overarching themes, like if it's education and it resonates with your audience, building content around those themes, like an educational, like I don't want to use Motivation Monday, even though I love alliteration. But like, if you're in marketing and you have like Marketing Mondays, and that's your chance to share just some of your hard-earned, marketing wisdom, you can have sort of like the same video post template, and then you're, with similar music or sounds, and then you're changing out the text and maybe some of the visuals. That's a really fast and effective way to create an efficient content stream.
Yeah, and especially if you're like looking to do a series on something, say Cloud Campaign wanted to make a series on like our best known features, and we use this sound that we think is really good for it. Like you can keep using that sound, like, and it just matches your series. And I've actually seen that some people have gone like really viral from that, because they get associated with that sound, or your series becomes kind of associated with that. So that's kind of something to try out too. Like is pretty efficient and fast.
Yeah, and I think that also just builds like a consistency for your brand too. If you kind of build like a visual and audio sort of aesthetic,
Yeah.
if you will. Cool. So do you want to break down a couple of examples real quick before we move on, just to kind of dissect what works for some
Yeah, for
successful
sure.
posts? Is
I
that
think that'd be great.
okay? Let me just share my screen real quick. Wow, this is a new record. We've got 91 folks on the stream today. This is great. Welcome everyone. Okay, quick check-in that we can see this. How are we looking?
Awesome. Thank you guys.
All right, so this is
Letting us know.
cool. This is a sample that we're gonna dissect. So I'm gonna hit play, and then after we'll do a quick little review.
Oh, can't hear it.
Oh no. I wonder if there's a way
Make sure it's not
to,
muted within the app too.
Yeah,
okay.
I can hear it, but it doesn't work if we can also do this. I'll just share it with y'all.
Yeah, so you guys can go ahead and click that if you'd like. We can kind of just play it. So
Yeah.
This one especially kind of need the sound. I guess we'll like a lot of it.
Well, thankfully it's short. Yeah, she says, "What's this?" Oh, no, check it. What it is. She can't live without it. So why did you pick this as an example?
Yeah,
Maya?
so I think that this creator really did a good job of using a sound and kind of applying it to their business. Obviously, they're promoting nutrition drinks. So I think that this was really great for them. They took a sound that has nothing to do with nutrition, energy shakes, but they found a way to apply it to their niche and their business and their customers. So she's saying like, yeah, this drink gives me energy. Like I can't live without this. So so if you read like her text, it says, how do you have so much energy all the time? And the sound is basically saying this is how I do whatever. And so she's using the sound, applying a caption that applies to her niche. And obviously she's putting in a visual, she's lip syncing, she's pointing to the drink. So it's like really easy to understand as a consumer what she's selling, what she's pushing, what she's trying to say. Oh, she gets energy from this drink. And so it's really easy to understand what she's posting, and it goes with the sound. So I thought it was like really well done, just quick and easy.
Yeah, so check it out if you didn't hear the audio playing through the stream to hear like the sound alignment that Maya's talking about. And what would you say like the level of effort to create this?
Yeah, I mean, I would say this is, I mean, everyone's is going to be different. Your comfortability with video as well will be different. For me, someone who's pretty comfortable in front of a camera making social content like this, I would say that it's probably like low to mid, depending, on the comfort level. A lot of people I feel like get scared of the lip syncing, but trust me, if you just turn on the camera, just play the sound and like just record yourself, do it like 5 times and you'll be spot on. I guarantee you, like you will pick it up because it'll get stuck in your head. If it's like longer, maybe it'll take a minute. But yeah, just like go for it with this kind of stuff. Like it was funny. I was trying to get other people in the office that don't make videos every day, some of our software engineers, to do a lip sync video for me. It was a struggle. They were not doing the best, but it just took them a few times. I, told them the words and we got to it. So,
Yeah, it's fun. I can't not look at this peanut butter caramel cookie dough thing going on down here. All right, let's try this other example real quick and we'll move on. All right. There's some music playing as well. That's timed.
I can't hear the sound on this one either.
Okay. Well, I'll share this one as well so people can get the sound, but just imagine that the captions were timed along with the with the music.
This kind of video, I kind of call it like a music cue because there's cues within the music that are showing what they're doing on the screen. So it's kind of like giving them, points to say things or get their message across. So yeah, in this one, it's a pretty popular audio, so you may have heard it before if you click on the video. But yeah, there's beats within the sound or in the song that he's pointing and putting the words on the screen. So it goes like dun 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 dun, and so he's using those points to get his point across. Those music markers to get his point across. So I think that's a really easy way to like get you inspired, and you could just take this exact format and literally put any words that you want in there. And at the end of the video too, he even does something like above the top. So it's like, you know, you could do that if you want, and that can inspire you to like, oh, I have something, but it's like kind of a lot of words. Like, how would I fit this all on there? It's like, okay, well, maybe at the end I could do like more words to kind of explain what I was trying to say. Or maybe you do the words at the beginning or something like that. So that's kind of like how I would look at this video and get inspiration. I'm like, okay, what's his message? What's he saying? Okay, this is his take on it. Then you could go in and click into the sound and see what are other people's takes on it? What are they doing? And then you could be like, okay, well, what message do I want to get across to my audience? Do I want to make it funny? Do I make it educational? And then you got to think of like how to make it fit this format. So that's kind of like how I would go about it. I just think this creator is pretty good. I really like following them. They're pretty like fast to trends. So you guys can definitely check him out. I think he's pretty interesting. He's kind of in our, you know, market. So.
Well, it's nice too to find people who are doing things really well, because again, like you can take this post that we just looked at. You don't have to use it verbatim, but use just the that overall theme of like pointing to different bubbles. You can have a completely different, make it look completely unique to you and your brand or the brands you're managing, to just you know, create something, still lifting inspiration without completely ripping someone off.
Yeah,
Jennifer,
I was just going to point to the chat as
ahead.
well. So yeah, I saw that Jennifer asked like, what am I using to add the words? So yeah, there's a lot of different options, I think, when it comes to this. So you can make it within the app if you want to do it. I mean, that's a pretty easy way. You just click sound, make the video, add it on screen. The only thing with that, then if you are planning to cross post it to a different platform like TikTok or something, you're going to need to download it. And the text will be able to see is like an Instagram text versus like a TikTok text. So if you want to kind of avoid that, you could always like record the sound and then save that video and then put it into Canva or make it totally out of app. So there's like a lot of different ways. It is kind of harder to use sounds that like do a lip sync out of app if you can't find the sound elsewhere to like make it and then tag the sound within the app. So this stuff can get pretty technical. So just kind of whatever way you think is the best for you. Personally, a lot of the times if I find the sound on Instagram, I will just make the video on Instagram just because I feel like it's easiest that way. And then once I post it to Instagram, I will go and download it without, you know, any watermarks. That's more like a TikTok thing, but download it and then I'll repurpose it to TikTok. But yeah, maybe if you're going to be like the best social media marketer in the world, like maybe you make it out of app and you take that time to put it in Canva and make your own text. And then it kind of is universal then, as long as you get the sounds to match if you're doing like sound cues.
Yeah. Well, so that's totally fair. Don't have time for that. There are ways to, and this is what I'm going to be showing today, is like, how can we sort of create some quick video content quickly, or how to create some content quickly to be able to import it in Cloud Campaign and kind of start scaling some of that video. When you start getting more technical with it, with like the sound, timed, you know, visual effects, like the more production value you add, is going to take more, it's just going to take more time to create that content. But as you start building like templates for this stuff, you know, something like that, you can actually templatize and be able to whip out this content, not, you know, for as many clients as you manage, or, you know, however your business is set up. Aaron asked if doing all that ever causes a lag in syncing. From what I've done some like dubbing over stuff, and I've not experienced it. Sometimes if the export settings change, like the timing, like 30 frames per second, and then you use like 23 and you're combining, there might be some kind of issues that happen there. But for the most part, I've not really seen any syncing issues. Have you?
I haven't personally either. Okay.
Yeah. So, well, we'll see if we can answer Jennifer's question as we go through. Within Cloud Campaign, you can't edit the videos within the platform. That's not an option. You have to either do it in app on your phone or use the video editing software, which is what we're going to. Okay. Yeah. All right.
And to answer, I know Kaylee posted earlier, like easy ways to download TikTok videos without the watermark. I just use free websites. That's been working for me. If anybody else has any other ways that they do that, they can totally put that in the chat to kind of help Kaylee out. But that's just how I do it. I save it or copy the link from TikTok or Instagram and then put it into those sites to download it.
Perfect. Awesome. All right. Well, we do want to make sure we get through some of the stuff we've been talking about, like actually creating and scheduling and uploading content within the platform. So we'll kind of push through. If we didn't get to your question, please don't. We're not ignoring you. We'll try and get to it. If not, we'll follow up with you afterwards since we've got you in chat. But yeah. So next, I want to dive into, kind of like getting all of this material together, sort of batching your work. And just like, how can we create some video content really quick to get it up and ready for schedule? Maya, do you have any comments on batching before we jump into
I mean,
it?
it kind of goes from what we were talking about earlier, what I was saying earlier about, building that library of videos that inspire you, that you kind of know you want to make. You already have an idea for what you want to make, having those sounds ready to go. And so kind of gives you a game plan when you get to whatever day you're going to film and you're ready to do that. You're like, okay, I really like this trend I saw. I already have my idea for it. So now I just need to go in and make that video. And then you can do it really efficiently and make multiple videos in the same day. And even sometimes too, if I see a video and I'm like, oh my God, I have this like creative idea for it, but I'm not ready to make the video right now. Like I'm laying in my bed and I have like a messy bun on, like I'm not making it right now, but I don't want to lose the idea. I will like even take the sound and literally just record like the top of my head and I'll put the words on the screen that like is my idea. So I don't lose it when I hear the sound again, watch that little video again, I'll be like, oh, okay, that's what I wanted to do. So that's a good way too. And then you just put it in your drafts, and when you're ready to actually make it, you make a real one and delete your like old like memory saver. So that's kind of a good way I've been doing it on my like days that I'm getting ready to batch. So
I like that. That's a great idea. Ooh, Descript is a great program. Thanks for sharing that resource as well. All right. Well, so like the reason I wanted to address that, just like the general preparation, that batching ahead of time is like, that's really the key to creating an efficient workflow that allows you to create, multiple posts at a time. So some of the stuff I've already done ahead of time, just for the sake of, I don't want you to all have to see me, put together in a video file and Illustrator file. But I'm going to show you what I do use in my daily workflow. So this is just for a sample business, a side project hobby. So just go ahead and disregard the goofy branding. But I'm going to share my screen and just show you what I'm talking about. Bulk uploading to include video uploading. Nick, do you know what's on the roadmap for that? I thought I had seen something about.
Yeah, I don't know specifically where that is. I know it's something that's highly requested, so it's definitely up there for us. But yeah, we can definitely check in with our engineering and product team and see where that would be on the roadmap.
Yeah, and I feel like that's a powerful feature if you're trying to really scale your video social media post. Okay, so now I'm in my design program. This is very similar to Adobe Illustrator. It's called Affinity, and it's just, I don't have to subscribe to it. But essentially, I've got two templates. I've got one. This is just to give me a guide so I know when I'm creating content, I want to make sure that things are going to appear properly. Earlier we mentioned this bias towards vertical orientation. So as I'm creating content, I use this as a guide. I've got these sort of lines set up here so that when I've got my 1080 by 1080 square thumbnail, which is going to show up, that's what shows up in the feed when people are like scrolling through stuff, or rather like in your Reels library. But that is sort of like the central focus of what appears like when people are scrolling through, like that's sort of like your concentrated area. So when I have these templates, when I'm like creating thumbnails or just kind of trying to make sure that my content is aligned, I've got these in place and ready just so I can kind of verify that everything's going to be centered and appear the way it's supposed to, the way I intend it in people's feeds. So that's just something that I use to kind of help guide that along and save myself some time in the long run. And then the next thing that I do is I've got another Illustrator file. And these are just my, this is actually what I'm going to be putting onto the post. So there's this copy here and there's some white copy in the middle here. But if I take this and I put it into the center, like it still fits perfectly. So this is why I kind of have these templates. I just want to make sure that like when I'm creating these, these video text posts, everything is going to appear, nicely and look professional in our feed. So I've created 10 pieces of content. This is going to be a weekly Friday thing that will release every Friday. And I wanted to create, as much as I could at a time. So I created 10 of these posts, and I exported each one of these as a ping file, PNG, that I can use in my video file. I go back over to my my video editor. This is how I prefer to create social media video content, unless I'm using things like trending audio, or I want to do some things that are just easier to do within the phone or device. I just personally, I'm faster just doing it in the video editor. So what I've got in here, I've got my music. I've got a little, I don't know if you can hear it, but I've got a little background music that fits the brand. I've got that text image that I created, and all I have to do, all of this stuff is going to stay the same. I've got our little exit and call to action, but all I have to do is just swap out that for this, export this, pop this in here, export that, lather, rinse, repeat. And I do that 10 times, and now I've got 10 little video snippets, 15 seconds long, that I can next explore. And will these August asks if these clips will be shared. I'm hoping you mean the webinar. Yes, we will send a recording for this if anybody wants to know. But the clips that I'm creating, no, they're for my brand. You can't have them. But I will be we'll be sharing the templates that you can use for this stuff. You're more than welcome to use that. So I've created a bunch of files. I've created 10 of those. And also to save us time, I did go through and upload them already. But I'm going to upload one more for you just so you can kind of see what this looks like. So I've created my content. I've gone through the work. It's ready to get uploaded into Cloud Campaign. From here, I'm just going to go to create content. And there's another beta feature that I wanted to quickly talk about. It's called Pixel Perfect Preview. And this is available to you if you're running beta mode. To access beta mode, you just click account settings from the top here. And there's this little toggle beta mode. What this does is brings up this new box. And this is pretty cool because when we go to upload our video, it actually gives you a preview of what it's going to look like in the user's feed. Shout out to our CEO, Ryan, for coding this on a weekend, which is pretty awesome. But now I can see, like, what is this video going to look like in the user's feed? You can also do some cool stuff like add a location. You can do location tagging. You can also tag people in the post, which is neat. So as we're going through this, I like to keep my content library organized. I'm posting this to Instagram, so I have a little just a little internal code that I use for that. This is my nerdy content title. So now I know what it is and sort of where it belongs. I'm not going to worry about the captions right now, but I did want to highlight this toggle that we mentioned earlier in the webinar. If I want to force this into the Reels feed, I can do that just by clicking that.
And by that, he means like posting it to the Reels tab and only the Reels tab. So if you click that button, it will only show up in the Reels tab. It won't show up like on your main feed, like in the thumbnail area. It'll just be in that Reels tab.
Thanks for that clarification, Maya. And it's a great way to just like have that fine control over where your content is going to go. Now I'm going to be using my category tags for this stuff. I like to just I like to tag it with Instagram just so I know, I made this video template and specifically for Instagram. So just to keep my library organized, I have this on. I also mentioned that this is going to be a weekly Friday piece of content. So I'm going to create a category for that. And then I'm just going to wrap up with choosing the default accounts that I would like to have selected. Since we're just focusing on Instagram Reels for this content, I'm going to make sure that that's selected. And we'll just pretend that I created some captions for it. So I'm going to just go back into chat real quick. See if there's any burning questions that popped up. Might have to lean on Nick to answer some of these more technical questions. I see you typing away furiously.
Yeah,
Thank you, sir.
it looks like Lauren had a question about the dimensions of videos. That's a great question, actually. I've never tested that specifically, but because of the way that Instagram now works, where it posts to both the main feed and Reels, I would assume that it also posts totally fine to the main feed. Like I said, I've never tested it. If Chris, I don't know if we're posting this as an example right now, or are we just going to go through the scheduling workflow?
For today, we were just going to go through
I
the
can hop in a
scheduling.
little.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that I've done that before, and it does post to the main feed as well. It just like automatically crops it for you. So that could be something you like kind of keep in mind as you're going to post it. And if you use our thumbnail button, that you're like, okay, let me kind of think about the aspect ratio. Let me make sure that this video is like lined up how I'd want it to be.
Perfect. Yeah. And that's like why we want to bring this stuff up for everyone. Just like make sure you're aware that with all of these different changes and all the way things get displayed and pulled, like it's important to know it. So it saves you a lot of time and frustration and headache down the road. And then Shane, to answer your question, my understanding is, so with the changes on Instagram, any new video that's posted can be posted to Reels automatically. Then we can also choose if you want to, within Cloud Campaign, whether to force a Reels only post. All right, so let's go back and let's schedule some content. And I think this will be like the last major task that we'll finish up with today before we open it up to some Q&A. So we're back into Cloud Campaign, and I've got 10 videos created. So that's 10 Fridays worth of content. Cool. I'm going to go over to schedules, and I've got some already set up that are turned off. Just ignore those. When you create a schedule, you do have a couple of options. You can do some drip scheduling for more evergreen content. That's beyond the scope of this topic today. But we're going to do a weekly schedule. And this is for just like consistent weekly posts. The example here is like weekly wisdom.
More alliteration.
It's hard to say. Alliteration, it's hard. So we're going to do a Friday DM tips window or a schedule. Again, please ignore the nerdiness. You can choose your time zone, of course. And then you can get pretty advanced with like how you want to customize it. If you did want to do like a multi-week type posting schedule, you could. You can also have control over the time. I could do, Friday morning and Friday afternoon if I wanted to. It's up to you. You have full control over how you want to populate your schedule based on your strategy. Regardless, I'm just going to create this schedule. And it's ready, which is great, but how does it know what content to pull? We haven't told it to do anything. You've got a few options to be able to like fill your content, or you can skip. I'm not sure why you'd want to do that. For us, we're going to use a category to kind of fuel our content engine. And what this allows us to do is we don't got to worry about posting or scheduling content. All we have to really worry about is creating it, uploading it into Cloud Campaign, and then getting approvals, which again, I'll do a little teaser for that. We're going to click autofill this queue and just select our filling parameters for it. You can choose if you want to post new content first. So that's in like a first in, first out FIFO for you economist folks in there. That's how that content will go through. And then you can select what categories you want the queue to pull from. I like to just imagine this as like a hopper that you tell it a command, like select only red balls and fill yourself with red balls. It'll look for those and pull them into the queue ready to post. And then you can also, again, set default parameters. For this, we're focused on Instagram right now, so I'll keep it, but you could also broaden that out to any content that you have for that thread that you want to post to all of your channels. I'm going to click Save Settings. And hey, look, we just scheduled 10 posts. Now, these aren't approved. They will pull into the hopper or the queue or the schedule, whatever you want to call it, even if they're not approved. However, they will not be posted unless there's approval there. But I want to show you real quick what this is going to look like on our content calendar. If we go to today, we can see all of these threads or all these pieces of content that have been pushed out to our schedule. Cool. And I really didn't have to do a whole lot. Even if I have this stuff scheduled out, like, going into the end of September, captions aren't there, it's not approved. That's okay. I've got a pretty good lead time. I can work on those captions, up until, before it gets posted, and same thing with the with getting approval for that content. And that's sort of like one of the best practices that we typically suggest, like schedule out all your content and then harass your customers about getting, maybe not harass isn't the best word, but then, go get on your customers to get approval for this content to make sure it can go out. But I'll quickly touch on that since we're on the topic, because this is probably one of the features that most people love about Cloud Campaign. When I do want this when I do want this content to go out, I can just click new approval, approve this, and select the content that I want to be approved. You can also use these filters over here to quickly isolate content. Add those to your approval. There's an option if you are working with an internal team, you're managing a few content managers. You can toggle this to keep those internal edits, all that chatter sort of separate from your client. Sometimes that can get a little bit noisy until you're ready for them to jump in. And then you can add a comment to this. Sell by Friday. And we'll create an approval. And what this does is it creates a little tokenized link that you can copy and share with your client. The cool thing about this is your client doesn't even have to have access to the Cloud Campaign. They could be on their phone mobile browser if they wanted to. So it's pretty agnostic in terms of the tech, but it takes them to this landing page. Got our comment there and our note. And then from here, the client can go in and I could change it. Can leave comments, and those are timestamped, which is neat. So you've got a clear record of feedback, like, hey, you said this could go out, and here's the timestamp. You can also, they can take image and do like markups and post visual feedback as well. But yeah, so all of the posts that we want to get feedback on are right here and ready to get approved, and they can just go through and click to approve on each one. All right, and so that's sort of, I know it's a little bit expedited, but sort of like from content consumption, templating, creation to getting it exported and scheduled in Cloud Campaign, really can be a pretty streamlined and quick process, and allows you to schedule quite a bit of content all at once, especially video content, which can be time consuming to create. And so the last thing we'll talk about, Maya, you had some thoughts on scheduling and cross-posting your content, because we've done all this and we've tried to work and fill it out or create content efficiently. Like, now we need to get it out everywhere. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, like, obviously everyone has their different workflows within the Cloud Campaign platform. So there's like different ways to use like the tags, categorize. Oh my gosh, I can't say that. I'm just going to use tags because that word is not coming out of my mouth right now. But anyway, but yeah, there's like different ways to use that to make your kind of workflow more efficient. So one of the tags like I've created is not posted yet. So if I've batched like a lot of just like static posts for like the month to have for like kind of backup content for days I'm not having a reel or a carousel or something going out, I just will upload that to the content library, and then I'll tag it with my not yet posted tag. So that is like, okay, if I'm like, all right, I have this day, I don't have anything ready for, let me click into that tag and I'll be like, oh, I love like this one. I think it would match the feed for the look I'm going for. So then I schedule and I untag that from not yet scheduled. So that's one thing I've done. Or I build monthly calendars, kind of what I've mentioned. I'm just running the Cloud Campaign account. So I know a lot of people have multiple accounts, but this is how I'm kind of doing from more like a freelancer standpoint. But yeah, so I'll do like first week, second week, third week, and as tags, and then I'll tag like my first week's like content there, second week's, third week's. That's just kind of a good way that I've been able to do it, for me to be able to send out my approvals easier to my manager, and for me to keep in mind like what I'm posting each week and like how many videos or whatever is in each week's content. So kind of keep a tab on that. But yeah, so that's kind of how I've been using tags personally. But yeah, I think cross posting, if you guys aren't aware of that term, I'm sure you know what it is, but the term is like if I'm taking a TikTok, like I talked about, like downloading it or whatever, and then uploading it to YouTube Shorts and Instagram Reels and LinkedIn, that's cross posting, like taking something you made on one platform and posting it across multiple things. And obviously Cloud Campaign is great to use that for, so you don't have to manually do all of that. You can just put it into Cloud Campaign's platform and it'll send it out to all of them. So that's something that I've really been getting into since using the platform, and I think it's great. It definitely saves you a lot of time, as I'm sure you guys know. But yeah, I think that that's a really good way to get your content out there, is by sharing it. And like we were kind of talking about, figuring out your audience. You can just throw a lot of stuff to the wall and just see what's kind of sticking on certain platforms, and then you can make those more informed decisions about what you're going to cross post. And then you can do that within Cloud Campaign, just selecting to only post it to Reels and TikTok and not Facebook or LinkedIn for that day.
And a really, really important reminder when you're cross-posting video content, particularly from TikTok. So if you've already been using TikTok and you want to repurpose that for Reels, you have to be careful that Reels content does not have the TikTok watermark on it. You will be punished for it. Meta does not like TikTok, and if they see that watermark in the lower right, it's just, you're going to get suppressed by the algorithm. You're not going to get the reach and engagement that you would be hoping for. So it does take a little bit of extra effort to make sure you get that video without the watermark, but
and to
it's worth
August's
doing.
point, reading in the chat, talking about cross posting versus like each platform may, or it needs different content. That's kind of about figuring out, your audience. Like your audience may, like on each platform, may all love like educational content. So then sure, just make educational content and cross post it to all of them. But if you're finding out that on TikTok they just want entertainment, then yeah, you just wouldn't cross post that piece of content to that platform. So it's kind of maybe like a grouping process, or you just kind of got to figure out your audience and kind of go with it that way. Like I'm definitely testing out YouTube Shorts right now. Like I'm like, what is YouTube Shorts about? Like what is our audience on there like? So kind of right now I am posting everything right there. I'm just figuring out that audience. But once I have it more figured out, like I will only post certain things. Like right now I'm kind of leaning towards I only want entertainment. I don't really want to know, all the little, details and ideas I have. Like they kind of want silly content. So maybe I'll lean towards posting just more silly content, that I'm cross posting to TikTok and Instagram. And then I'll like push it over to YouTube Shorts as well.
Yeah. And I think that Shane brought up a really good point of making your content just platform agnostic. So instead of, hey, I'm joining you on Facebook to talk about a topic that's irrelevant to Facebook, like you just don't say Facebook. Hi, I'm Chris, and I'm just going to share this thing of, this thing I found. Hope you like it. Bye. You can use that on all your platforms. I think, when we were talking about Reels content earlier, and just like video content in general, like if you're creating stuff for like TikTok and Reels, that maybe that's the type of content that usually fills those feeds might not be the same content you'd post on LinkedIn, which would typically be a more informational, subject matter expert, authority, that type of positioning. It really just depends too. Like we're all marketers here. Like we pick the right tool for the job.
And I'm actually writing a blog right now about cross posting. So if you are kind of interested more in like my take on it, like you can be looking out for that to be coming out. But yeah, like I'm still figuring out YouTube Shorts, Shane. Like I don't know if I have all the information yet to relay to you. But yeah, like what I've got so far, we had one video almost get 10,000 views, and it was just like a really silly video. They were kind of like making fun of me. So I don't know if you want people to make fun of you, but hey, I mean, more views, the better. So like, I was okay with that. I can take some self-humility if people are going to watch it. So still figuring it out.
We love you, Maya. Haters gonna hate.
Cyberbullying, it's okay.
Yeah, sometimes you got to take your lumps. And then you brought up a good point, Maya. Like you got to, with these new channels and new opportunities, sometimes you really just got to try a lot of different things, see what works, take your lumps. Failure is not a bad thing. It's just an opportunity to learn and grow. So if you try a content idea and it doesn't land, that's that's okay. That's still valuable information you can use to hone in. So it keeps this
Yep.
tough. Yeah, that's right, Kaylee.
Gotta be able to laugh at yourself, especially when you're being silly on, social media. So
Right on. All right. Well, I think we kind of are hitting up on our time, and then we've had a lot of questions. So I don't know if we actually really need to open it up to more Q&A. But we will go ahead and wrap. That's it for this month's Agency Mastery Series. We really do hope that you got something out of it. We'll be sending the recording of this webinar along with some resources and a feedback survey that we hope you'll fill out. We plant a tree for every response, every survey completed. So help us out along with our environment. As always, you can head over to cloudcampaign.com for more agency resources. Hop on a 2-week free trial if you've not given it a shot already, or schedule a demo with our team and see how Cloud Campaign can really transform your social media management. Nick, Maya, thank you so much for joining. Everyone else, thank you for joining
thanks so
as
much,
well.
everyone. Really appreciate how engaged you guys have all been and, open to hearing what we have to say. Ricky, we definitely don't hire off looks, but that is such a nice and silly compliment. Thank you so much.
You guys are the best, and we will catch you next month. See ya.